It's Sunday night. We're about to find out who our new HOH is, as well as who they decide to nominate for the week. This season has been really just controlled by a small group of players. It seems like they've just won and been able to control everything all season long. And why would that change at all tonight? You know, the producers of this show really need to start going out of their way to make sure that the commission just doesn't win the next HOH, because it's really just absolutely ruining this game. With all the talk of many of the players basically starting their alliances before the season even started, to people yelling over the wall that Cody and Nicole are working together, and still having nothing come of that absolutely no one is going after those people, seems a little bizarre to me. So when Dani wins the HOH tonight, I did a little bit of an eye roll. I thought, oh great, another week of garbage. The only thing interesting about Dani right now is that her and Tyler have had a little bit of a falling out. I still think that that's an interesting situation, because it feels like all the blame for the situation is landing on Tyler. And there were two things that happened here. Tyler leaked some information, and then Dani lied about that information. So, Dani's been lying, and Tyler was a little bit leaky. Tyler did have his downward spiral and has apologized for it and has said that he is loyal to Dani, but it's still not clear if that's enough for Dani. I really don't think it's in her best interest to go after Tyler, because that sets up your alliance for a failure, in my opinion. You have that group of 6 that you've been working with, and as soon as those other alliance members see that, hey, Dani is willing to start throwing out alliance members, throwing out allies, when there are other people in the house. There's still a pretty good sized number of people that she's not working with. Kevin and David, the two people who ended up on the block tonight, they're two people that Dani has not worked with at all. Then we also have Ian. And, it was really bizarre to me that Ian's name never even came up in conversation tonight as a possibility. And I'd be thinking, you're really running out of targets. Like, how is Ian's name not in the conversation? Do you have some deal with Ian that we're not aware of? Because Dani said, like, the only two people in the house I'm not working with are Kevin and David. So they're the two that end up on the block. But, maybe there's a bunch of stuff that we're just not seeing on these 3 episodes a week. So the possibility for Tyler getting backdoored this week is very real. But first, before we get to that point, as I said before, Kevin and David are the 2 nominations, but David has the power to bring himself down and give himself protection for the week, which I'd be shocked if he decided not to use it. And I think that will make things a little more interesting this week, because Dani will be forced to immediately put someone up. And the only other person that she's talked about putting on the block is Tyler. And I just don't know how that would play out for her. It's an interesting dynamic. People give so much power to the HOH when really, I don't feel like they should in this game. There should be a way less respect for the HOH, because yes, they put the nominations up, but the way that HOHs have throughout the history of Big Brother basically told people how to vote. And in recent years, it's almost always just a landslide, like 10-1, 10-0 type vote. It's a little mind-boggling. If she puts Tyler up and you're someone like Cody or Nicole F., who doesn't want him to go, add Christmas to that list as well. Why would you vote him out just because Dani said so? It doesn't make any sense to me. And like, yes, it's going to make a big rift in your alliance, but even if Dani and Tyler clearly don't like each other and are gunning for each other, you can still work with both of them. It only becomes a problem when one of them gets the power. So, yeah, if I'm in that house and she puts Tyler up, I'm not voting him out. I'm not if I think he's good for my game, I'm not voting him out. But then again, as was said repeatedly this episode, when you take a shot at Tyler, you better be damn sure that he's the one to get evicted. I think that more or less wraps up tonight's episode. Dani wins HOH. Dani nominates Kevin and David. And we are set up for another excruciatingly boring week of Big Brother All-Stars. I'll be back again on Tuesday. That's right, Tuesday for the veto ceremony. It's a little bit of a day shift for this week. I think it's a 1 week only. So that's Tuesday for the veto and Wednesday for the eviction. Before I wrap things up here, I just want to talk about one event that's happened on the live feeds that has not been brought up or shown or talked about in the show. And that is a small group of house guests who were making fun of Ian for having autism. And I really find this extremely unacceptable. I've not been watching the live feed, so I don't have all the details on this. But if you snoop around online a little bit, you can see that Nicole F. has been losing sponsors over the incident. And I really wish that there was something that Big Brother would do to step in and make it clear, make it extremely clear that these actions are not acceptable. Last season we had a little bit of a potential racism scandal on the show, and everything just kind of let it slide, let it wash under the bridge. And this is a very public show, very big spotlight on you right now. And for them to just let this behavior slide does not sit well with me. So I really hope that Big Brother does decide to levy some punishments on these players. If someone's acting in that manner, remove them from the house. I feel like you could bring some random person in right now and it would spice this season up. So on top of doing the right thing, you would make the season better and it would be good all around. So I'm just going to end that there. I did name one name, but I'm not going to go through all the other names because, as I said, I haven't been watching the live feeds and I did not see the actual incident. So I will leave it there for now and wrap this up for today. So as always, thank you so much for watching, and until next time, we'll see you later.